Welcome to Threads of Enlightenment, a podcast devoted to helping you overcome challenges in your life that prevent you from becoming the best version of yourself. Each episode features interviews with people from all walks of life about their journey of self-development and the principles they utilize to overcome their fears to achieve their desired outcome. Ready to be enlightened? Here's your host, Ken Primus.
Welcome to another episode of Threads of Enlightenment. As usual, guys, you know, this is still my habit to welcome our guests because I know that they're coming with a couple of things that I deem very expensive. Tom has been there before. And so I want to welcome him again, but I want to acknowledge that he is showing up with a couple of things very expensive, his time. And that time is 24 hours given to all of us. What we do with our 24 hours will tell a lot about ourselves. And I tell people all the time, you have to learn to respect time, honor time, because once you do that, you behave differently, you walk, talk, speak differently. The other is the journey. The journey is an ever-flowing part of us. And as we grow and get deeper insights about ourselves and so forth, we have the opportunity to expand more of our I call it our assignment that we have here on the earth to do versus having a job. So we want to welcome Tom coming back, and he's going to bring us up to date as to the continuation of his assignment and what he is now, it's now been placed on his heart to do. Tom, thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment, man.
Thank you. Once again, pleasure to be back to speak to your audience.
It's an honor, man.
Yeah, we're going to take this a little bit deeper this time. We're going to speak about my work with scalar light, scalar energy, the energy of the sun and the stars.
Yeah.
And the key to this, the key to my research, the key to our discussion today is to help humanity. I am a researcher. I want to solve problems. I want to make meaningful changes to the world. I want to make an impact. And one of the ways I do that is with technology. I'm going to speak about scalar technology and recent advances that I've seen with this technology that are proving to be quite promising. Now, to be clear, I work with scalar energy, scalar light. It's not electricity. I'm in my laboratory. I'm going to demonstrate one of my scalar light instruments behind me. And with that in mind, scalar light, again, is not of the electromagnetic spectrum. So what am I presenting? I'm presenting a new branch of physics, what some people might call quantum physics or Tesla physics. This is not taught by academia, at least not yet. Okay.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I work with scalar energy instruments. Now, let me show the audience a time-lapse photograph of a scalar wave to give this your audience some idea what we're working with. Somebody took that photograph of a scalar wave. It's a double helix. It's a spiral. It's emanating from a Tesla coil. Now, that's not electricity. That double helix will be propagated by any scalar energy instrument. If we could see a scalar wave, that's what we would look at. That's what we would actually see propagating out of that Tesla coil. That's a scalar wave. Now, put all of that into consideration. Working with this energy, we now have a new way of accessing, if you will, a different dimension. This is not electricity. It's not the electromagnetic dimension. When we're in this other dimension, we deliver intelligence, instructions. Now, I'm going to hold up another image, and I think the audience will resonate with this. That, too, is a double helix. Okay?
Yeah.
And scalar energy is a double helix.
Wow.
So when I work with this instrument, I am working with the building block of DNA. What creates DNA and maintains it? Scalar energy is the identical ratio and proportion of DNA. Identical.
Wow.
And so when I access this instrument as such, I'm able to interface through scalar energy with our DNA. Okay. So this is proving to be quite promising. Now, there's a new technique, I call it divine intelligence, that we've developed. People have been sending us photographs. Let me once again reestablish our working motif here. When people send me photographs, this is how I access their energy field. To be clear, this is my photograph. This has an energy field, a force field on it. I never work with people in the flesh because this is not a physical manifestation. It's spiritual. In other words, if a person sent me their photograph, I work with their force field, their energy field. I never work in flesh with people. Nobody ever comes to my laboratory. I'll actually take a person's photograph and place it inside the instrument. That's how this energy works. Accessing a person's force field, accessing a person's energy field on their photograph. So my work is informational, it's not chemical. Now, what I'm observing now with this new process, by taking a person's photograph and downloading this intelligence, this divine intelligence into their photograph, people say that they feel better. And a number of people are telling us that their cancer is in remission. Now, that cannot be explained by Newtonian physics. Yeah, thank you. That cannot be explained by Newtonian physics. And I can only theorize what's happening. Now, to be very clear, I am a pioneer in this work of scalar energy. I don't think anybody has a similar instrument than what I do, so my work is unique. My instrument is unique. My approach is unique. So you put that into context, I believe I now have the means to access, if you will, the information field, not the physical DNA, but the information field of DNA. Now, what does that entail? Well, if we look at scalar, a wave, it's the exact ratio and proportion of DNA. Exactly. It's a carbon copy. So it's my contention that a scalar wave creates DNA. Now, if this is perfect as a template, then eventually we should be able to perfect DNA.
Yeah.
Okay? So the perfect energy never makes a mistake. Sometimes there's mistakes, there's mutations in DNA. So if this is the perfect instruction, we should be able to download those perfect instructions into DNA.
That is
now,
incredible.
As of March, thank you. As of March of this year, I've been working with people who send me their photographs, and the people tell me they have tumors and cancer. Now, I can't prove this, but I have to rely upon their testimony. And after sending me their photograph and after 2 or 3 months of sessions, many people are feeling better. Many people say that they're in remission, that they no longer have any sign of cancer. Some people are saying that they've seen tumors shrink. I had one individual that sent me a photograph of their dog. Their dog had a tumor. And after 2 months of sessions, again, I only work with photographs. I work with photographs of people and animals. After submitting the photograph of their dog, they have witnessed that the tumor has shrunk and that new skin, pink new skin, has appeared in replacement of the tumor. Now, these are my discoveries, my recent discoveries this year, what I call divine intelligence. And I'm not ready to make any official announcement to the world. I have to rely upon testimonies of people. And after maybe 300 or 400 testimonies that I would amass over the next year or so, I'll start making this publicly known. But keep in mind, this is a new science. Nobody can prove or disprove what I'm doing. My instrument is unique. My technique is unique. It's never been duplicated. My work has never been duplicated. Nobody can prove or disprove what I'm doing. Well, take that into context, and then we have to start saying to ourselves, well, maybe there's some merit to what I'm doing. Maybe it's anecdotal, but at least it begs the question, why is it that somebody can send Tom a photograph or a group photograph and the people feel better? Why is it that sometimes when people send a photograph to Tom, a tumor will shrink? That's where we're at right now. It's very promising what I've seen thus far. Okay? Yes, it's anecdotal. I understand it cannot be proven. This is not medicine. Working with a force field of a photograph is not medicine. This is not medical science. I'm not claiming this is medical science. This is not even electricity or magnetism. We're not working in the electromagnetic spectrum. My claim is this, that scalar energy, that's a scalar wave, introduces a new dimension. Again, it's not electromagnetic. Within this dimension, it's all information, it's all energy. It's non-physical. And this information, a scalar wave can create DNA and probably correct DNA.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat that. A scalar wave, which is primal, energy is primal, is the cause of nature. Energy creates physical forms. Energy creates the universe. This scalar wave creates and maintains DNA. If we can, if you will, adjust, modify, control a scalar wave, then we can adjust, modify, control DNA. That's my theory.
And so you've been collecting data, Tom, from,
Yes.
and that's the only way that you can get the data is from those that are experiencing the changes within their bodies, such as cancer, and even to the fact that that animals are responding to the approach as well. So with all that data, which is what science is about, collection of data, putting it together, and then announcing, if you will, that aspect of what your findings are. And so as you're doing this, Tom, because I remember when I first interviewed you, that back then your walk was, because I asked the question, since there's no one in there, how was your walk? The walk has been won by yourself. Now, has that changed in any way? Are they fellow like-minded folks out there that are understanding any of your approach out there? Has that changed, if you will?
No, I have no peers. To answer your question, I have no peers. I'm doing this alone. And there's a number of reasons. First of all, the instruments are very difficult to manage and to invent and maintain, etc. I don't know of anybody who spent the time and effort that I have at this. So this is a new science, and we need other researchers. We need other theorists. That has not yet materialized. So for the time being, it's my solitary path. I travel alone. Not by choice, but that's the way it is.
Do you understand, Tom, what is the resistance with them? I know when you're in, I guess the mainstream programming of how things ought to be done and scientifically and so forth, what is the blockage that you can perceive that has prevented others to come and join your path, if you will?
I think there's a number. Education, a lack of knowledge is first and foremost. And then I'd also have to include that some are intimidated by this new science. If it actually works, then we're going to change society.
No
if
kidding.
There's actually a way to access free energy. I've demonstrated this before. There's so much energy coming from that Tesla coil, it'll illuminate a light bulb. So these are free energy devices. If there's actually a way to harness the free energy of scalar energy, the sun and the stars, that changes society. And I think some people are intimidated by how grand this concept will be. Another impediment, it's so new that there's no job, there's no careers. So you have to do this for the love of science. There is no paycheck for me. I don't get a paycheck every Friday. That's not the case.
Yeah. That's amazing. Because I remember you talking about the your beginnings, and those of you guys that are listening to us now, Tom and I did an interview earlier. I'm sure you guys can go back and take a look at it and listen to that aspect, because it's some really insightful stuff that Tom was talking about back then, and how when he began to navigate away from the programming that they had, because he had found some additional data, if you will, that began to pull him in a different direction. And you guys need to go back there and listen to that. So here you are, Tom. You said a couple of months where you have seen this specificness
Yes.
as far as outcome.
Yes.
Do you remember that first individual or several of individuals that this thing began to manifest, and you're like, whoa, 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 this is something
Yeah.
different that I am walking into?
Yeah. I was, good question. I was working with a health coach, and the health coach sent me 5, 6, 7 photographs of people who had cancer. And again,
Yeah.
keep in mind, I only work with photographs. This is a new science. And after working with those photographs, people said that they're in remission, that they feel better,
Mm-hmm.
that they don't feel that they have cancer anymore. Now, that's anecdotal. I get that. And that cannot be proven by conventional science. But that was really very telling to me. 5, 6, 7 people from different backgrounds, different walks of life, demographics, who knows, different types of cancer, they all feel better. And according to them, they're in remission. They're recovering their health. So these are the stories that I have to tell now. These are the testimonies I have to tell as of this interview. In 12
Yeah.
months, this could be headline news.
Yeah. Those folks that have seen and felt the changes, are they sending you documentations of that type of stuff? Because you're going to need to collect stuff like that in order to have that scientific analytical conversation, if you will, with those that show up when you are
Yeah.
going to be putting this out there. So are you pushing them to collect that data so that it can assist you to be able to help other people? Because that's what you need to start helping other people, saying, here is proof,
Right.
this is what's going on.
Yeah, I do. I ask, and that's all I can do is ask. Now, I respect everybody's privacy. And so as the time unfolds, we will hopefully have, if you will, amass data, amass at least testimonies,
Yeah.
at least showing, supporting my work. But I want to make this clear, and it's obvious with your audience. To make a connection between a photograph and a person is difficult, and it cannot be done by Newtonian science. So if we're going to accept my results, then we eventually have to theorize that there's a force field of a photograph, even though it's separate from a person, that the force field receives the energy.
Yeah.
That's, there are some gigantic hurdles here. And this is the new science of scalar energy, quantum physics, that we have to start accepting. It's real. Scalar physics, quantum physics is real. So we have to have some type of working knowledge of this new branch of physics and say, yes, a photograph is a person. A person is a photograph. What is my photograph? It's my bilocated version.
Yeah.
There's 2 Toms. Your audience is looking at 2 Toms right now. My biological Tom and my quantum Tom. And both can be accessed by scalar energy.
I find it very telling, Tom. I mean, quantum physics, the field of quantum physics has been around for a long time. Everybody's in it, and a lot of guys are in it. They're doing movies and books and all that type of stuff. And how no one is, and I know you had mentioned this even in the first interview, that many of them are lazy in their approach and their thinking, their processing of stuff. They're not investigators, if you will. They will just look at stuff, but they're not really truly investigating as to what's going on and stuff like that. And so I find it very interesting that even though they're there studying on a daily basis, in some of them, nothing and no one is even wanting to discover or even have a conversation. Tom, do they come and talk to you and says, let's just talk to me about that. Let's talk. Let's have a educated discussion.
Never, not one, never. Now,
wow.
I'm glad you bring that up, Ken. I'm going to give the audience an analogy. You could read a book on golf, okay? You could read 10 books on golf. That doesn't mean you understand golf. You could theorize about golf all day long, but until you go out to the golf course and pick up a club and hit a golf ball and practice golf, there's a gigantic difference between theorizing about golf, reading a book, and playing golf. Yes, I believe in theory, but I also believe in practice. I have a functioning instrument. Okay? So sadly today, in today's world, we theorize and theorize and theorize. Great. But eventually you have to put that into motion. Eventually you have to invent an instrument and start experimenting, practicing scalar energy. I have not seen anybody on the internet yet with a functioning scalar energy instrument like mine. Not
So
one.
why can't
Not
they
one person.
So why doesn't someone come to you and say, "Hey, Tom, what we're going to do? We see that this system works. We're going to give you a grant. We need to build a bigger one."
Yep.
I mean, well, I could see why, Tom, because the government will be interested in that because that is emits a quite amount of energy,
Right.
free energy, and they're going to want to make sure that that's not accessible, if you will, to the masses, not anything free like that.
Exactly. This is free energy. Now, if I can work with one photograph, I can work with 1 million or 2 million photographs.
Yeah.
Because we're not working with people. This is not a physical reality. It's spirit. It's energy. I can work with the energy field of 1 million people. Now, the New World Order does not want us to know this. The New World Order wants to keep us enslaved to the physical dimension. The spiritual dimension, the non-physical dimension, will liberate mankind. And the powers that be, the New World Order does not want the world to realize that there's another dimension of free energy that will liberate mankind.
Yeah, they would never have. Well, they wouldn't like that to happen because it's just not. That would create a power struggle within the countries and all that stuff like that. We got to get it. We have to build a bigger one and all that type of stuff. So now let's go down to the everyday man and woman that are looking at a situation. Many of you guys are out there. You may be in a situation like cancer or some other disease that medical science have said to you, you got 2 weeks, you got X amount of time. I want to challenge you guys to, I'm going to provide all of Tom's information. What else do you have to lose, I guess, is the question. I want you guys to challenge yourself by getting in touch with Tom and sending him a picture and just see what happens. Because, as I said, they may have pronounced a certain time on you already, or you just see yourself getting progressively worse. I know for a fact that mainstream medicine is not designed to heal someone, because if they wanted to heal you, they would have been able to have drugs to do that a long time ago. They just want to maintain your sickness. And so at a cellular level, Tom is talking about with the energy in this realm of the spirit that can affect the body. And so that's how we ought to be walking and talking anyway. That's, we call parts of that energetic being inside, the soul, the spirit, all of these different things. You can't see it, but it's there. So I want to challenge you guys, send it to Tom, see what happens. So here, Tom, you talk to me about when you noticed it, because I'm sure there's a degree of excitement. You probably wanted to jump out of your skin, as they said, when you began to notice and get the information and the stories of this happening to your clients. How did it make you feel, and what did it do to you?
I was elated after years of travail, after years that experiments that did not work. With God's help, this is working now.
Yeah.
And when I say working, at least people are in remission. Now, I can't use per se medical terms with my work because this is not medicine. Working with a photograph is not a medical procedure. So I have to look at the endpoints. I have to look at my laboratory as an endpoint. Then I have to look at the if you will, testimony of the person as the other endpoint. And to attach those two endpoints is very difficult. So what was really so promising to me? Those who are not close to death, let's say somebody had terminal cancer, I can't save them. They're in
Yeah.
God's hands. But
Mhm.
people of all walks of life told me that they feel better.
Yeah.
Going back to my story of the dog, why do I isolate on the dog? Dogs are not capable of a placebo effect. That dog did
Yeah.
not realize it was being treated. Their owner sent me the photograph of the dog. I had no idea what I was dealing with. The owner just said my dog has a tumor. I don't inspect. I've never met the owner or the dog. And there's another
Yeah.
case. There was a cat that had a tumor, a cat. And after working with
Mhm.
that cat, the tumor started to shrink likewise. I've never met the owner of that cat. And likewise, I have to say to myself, with a cat and a dog, there's no placebo effect, or not what we would consider to be a placebo effect. The animals do not know that their photographs have been sent for a scalar light session. Both tumors have shrunk. Both animals are alive. Very promising.
Yeah. That's impressive to know that there's no placebo effect with them, because we know through science that there is such a thing, but there is no such a thing with animals,
Yeah.
and that's really intriguing, if you will, as that to that data. So it just show that there is something there.
Yes.
There is
Yes.
something there.
There's something there. And again, in deference to the world, this is a new science. This is a new branch of physics. I don't
Yeah.
expect people to understand this. This is
Mhm.
not taught by academia. So those of you who are pathfinders, join me. We're finding the new path here. We're at the vanguard of this movement. Now, Tesla was the initial inventor who could harness and control scalar energy. Well, why don't we follow up on Tesla's work? His work is a threat to the establishment. Tesla was able to harness the energy of the stars. I want to make this very clear. Scalar energy is the initial energy of the universe that originates from the sun and the stars. Scalar energy is free energy of the stars. And if you look at the universe and you see all the stars, you see a lot of energy. It's free.
Yeah.
There's no power plant inside a star. It's free. God provides the energy. Now, if we eventually capture that energy of the star, the sun, we will solve our energy problems. We will have free energy.
Well, we're
It'll
looking
change the
at
world.
the ability, Tom, we're looking at the ability as to what the sun does, even in the cells, the solar panels. I mean,
Yes,
here
they
you
are.
are, the body is a solar panel, if you will, energetically. So the sun is able to power these
Yes.
cell units. So I don't understand why, if we can harness a instrument like they did with the solar panel to capture and hold that energy, I don't understand why they would have a difficulty with yours. It's the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. We
I don't
all are
see
receiving
it.
that. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I mean, it is it. I don't get it, So
it
that's
takes two.
my concern. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense because it's
No.
such a simple thing. I'm a layman, Tom, and I can
Big sun.
understand that with a solar panel and the sun. I'm a layman. I haven't put in all those time and study within the quantum physics level and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, it's the simplest thing to see.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I agree. But
What
it takes time,
is
Ken.
your challenge for? Go ahead. Go ahead.
The challenge, it's a good question. The challenge is a lack of education. The challenge is getting this out there to the public. Now,
Yeah,
if
I
these
know,
results
but
are
you have been probing them and offering them the time to come and sit down.
I
Yeah.
have to keep this grassroots. I think that's rather
Yeah.
apparent now. There are many
So
corrupt
I'm glad that
governments,
you're here so we can do that, get it out to the people.
and that's the key.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
people.
Because they'll come looking for you, Tom.
Of course.
They'll come looking for you if you get something bigger than what you have as far as your instrument. So
Yeah.
they're gonna want you to be able to disseminate all of that stuff out there. As we are talking, and I know you want to be able, you feel that this is now your mission to assist people in obtaining their healing and stuff like that. Um, when did that become crystallized to you as to, okay, yeah, this is it right now for the remainder of my days?
Now, I saw that big prospect actually back in 1993 when I started to work hands-on with scalar energy instruments. And I realized that you could work with one photograph or you could work with a
Mm-hmm.
million photographs. It dawned upon me 30 years ago that I could work with millions of people through their force field, their energy field. So that's been my driving theme. You know, let's say this was
Yeah,
expensive and you had to visit me and that the instrumentation was cumbersome. Well, then I could only work with one person at a time, but that's not the case. I work with millions of photographs at a time. So we can't keep this at the brick and mortar level. We have to keep it at the spirit level that we're working with quantum fields. A
mm-hmm.
quantum field is
Yeah,
not a biological field. And when I realized that, I said, this is it. You know, any business model, you have to be
yeah,
realistic. There's scarcity. Well, what am I going to do? Have laboratories in every city of the world? No. All I need is one laboratory to accommodate
yeah,
millions of photographs. Then, it dawned upon me that the economies of scale are with me.
yeah, yeah.
That's the key to move forward along these lines to help humanity. It's inexpensive. It's safe. A photograph cannot have a negative side effect. We're working with the spirit realm. All of my work is non-physical. I never occasion a chemical reaction. I don't work in the chemical realm. It's a win-win-win.
Yeah.
Now it just takes people, Ken. Now we have to interest people to get on board.
So
It's a people movement.
yeah. And again, I'm talking to you guys that are listening to us. Once you guys hear this, I know a lot of people are sharing the podcast that I put out there. Share it, get people interested on that grassroots level, as Tom was saying. And once we bring them in at that level, some of those people, as they begin to see the remissions of their diseases and things like that happening, that they will also be able to pull a friend and say, hey, this is helping me. Let me give you the data so that you can get in touch with the information, so you can get in touch with Tom and send him one of your pitches. You guys, that's the thing you have to do. You have to get a picture to him, and it will have your aura, your energy field, and everyone has that energy field. It's a stamp that we have, our own uniqueness that is there with us. And so he will be able to utilize a system, an instrument that can align with your energy field and begin to synchronize and begin to manifest in the natural realm. So, Tom, I want to ask you something as far as your, because I know you're committed to this, man. You've been doing this for a mighty long time,
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
uh, and you said that there's no money in it, and so forth. As you do this, and your reward, if you will, I'm sure, but I wanted you to articulate uh, your reward as to what it does to you, the individual, because that stuff is some precious things.
Yeah.
Articulate for us, Tom, how does that do to you? And sometimes do you have conflicts with things that you have to walk through? How do you
Yeah.
move through your day?
Good question. I come from a Christian background, so I believe we're here to help one another. This cannot be the dog
Likewise.
eat dog world that we see. It's not working.
Yeah.
You have to cooperate. We have to stop competing. We should have a
Yeah.
world of cooperation. Now, if God has given me the wisdom to advance this type of technology, it's not for monetary gain. God would not have given me this wisdom for my selfish benefit. God has
Yeah.
given me this wisdom for humanity, to help people. That's the point of technology. Tesla was the greatest example of that I know. He was not interested in money. He gave away his technology. And one of the reasons why God gave him such this intellectual prowess, because God knew he could trust Tesla. It was
Yeah.
not about money, it was about helping people. One of the greatest humanitarians who's ever lived is Nikola Tesla. His inventions, his technologies has advanced humanity. One of the greatest humanitarians of all time is Nikola Tesla. And he did not achieve that status by running a soup kitchen. I have nothing against soup kitchens.
Mm-hmm.
He achieved that status through intellectual superiority, through scientific advances. Tesla was one of the greatest humanitarians and one of the greatest scientists of all time. And that really is a role model to me. I want to be a humanitarian and a scientist.
Yeah. I think God says that He will reward those who have that mindset anyway. If we do our assignment, He will take care of the rest. And I really wanted to, seriously challenge you guys to give it a shot. Tom is he's offering us an opportunity, a new science, a new approach that is available to us. And just like anything new, there's always some form of resistance, but that's okay. They resisted when when they started telling them that the Earth is not flat. They started resisting when all the different medicines and stuff began. But then when it starts working, it works. Change is necessary, my mom would say. And Tom is bringing in a new way by which we can change certain things in our life. And so I want to challenge you guys to take him up on it, man. If you have your pets, again, take him up on the challenge and see what happens there. So as you are, I know you're in the hot sun out there in Florida. Is there, Tom, any advice you would give some of these young ones that are coming up within that field of quantum physics? Because you were a young man then, back there, and you were being programmed just like them. You know, if you can reach back, Tom, and say to one or two of those individuals out there, what would you say to them?
Trust your guidance. Ask God, ask the Holy Spirit for guidance. And if you're sincere, God will bless you abundantly. God has blessed me abundantly. Let's face it, I started over 40, 50 years ago just with theories. Today I have a functioning laboratory in which I can work with 10 million photographs a day. So what's the point? If this is your calling, trust in your intuition, trust in God, you'll make great advances. This is not easy. If you have a work ethic, this is for you, but you have to have a work ethic. And welcome.
I think you need.
Join us.
I think we all need a work ethic because one of the verses I remember in the Bible says, "Look at the ant," and
Yes.
it was talking about the ants' ethics and what they were able to accomplish when they worked together. And so, Tom is inviting you guys, those young ones that are listening, that are out there, and he's absolutely right. You have to trust your instinct. You have to walk. Many of us are called to walk a different path, and you have to believe that God, who called you, is going to be able to supply all those needs and bless you beyond your wildest dreams, as it states. What is your? I know you've been telling about it, the passion of it, and stuff like that. What is your vision, Tom, as they say, your mission statement as to how you want to now approach this on a step-by-step basis. If you have any approach, or if how do you foresee it looking in your mind for this thing to begin to spread
Yeah.
out?
I think what we're looking at is, first of all, a grassroots movement. And I emphasize that because a grassroots movement cannot be stopped. You see, I want to avoid the pitfalls that Tesla and other inventors had. Tesla tried to interest financiers in his work, but they're always interested in so much money and control. They wanted to control the invention. And Tesla was not going to do that. So if we keep this grassroots and the people bring this up slowly but surely, you cannot stop a grassroots movement. You can stop governments, you can stop business. Governments come and go, businesses come and go, but humanity remains. So if you want, I want deep roots. I want a grassroots movement.
Yeah.
I simply ask people to follow what I'm doing and then share it. You know, think of all, well, maybe not everybody has that understanding, but I've looked at many inventions, suppressed technology, and either government and or big business stops that advanced technology. Well, I'm not going to go to business or government because they'll probably stop this advanced technology. I want to go
I'm
with
sure
the
they
people.
will.
Yeah, you know, let's just deal with the reality. Thank you. So just keep it with the people. And then you can't stop humanity. There's 8 billion people. How are you going to stop 8 billion people?
Well, Christianity was a grassroots.
Yes.
You know, he took 12 and look what that 12 did to the world. So yeah, you know, there's data to show that that approach works, if you will. So,
Yes.
I welcome all you guys out there to join this grassroots and begin to let's create a new space by which now we're going to approach and get different outcomes, because that's what it is. Tom is interested in making you guys get healing and your experience of your desired outcome when it comes to your body and stuff like that, and even your animals as well. So this is all about your best interest in heart, if you will. Tom, talk to them. I know you talked about how they received the picture. Talk to us about that process. Once someone sends you the picture, and you talked about the different sessions. What does that look like when someone you just got your picture from that individual for the first day today?
Yeah. At the end of the day, I always have a collage of photographs that I print out. And I literally place it inside the information system.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's so unique about that information system? It's a scalar information system. It's not an electromagnetic information system. And when you're in a scalar information system, then I can access your aura or your force field. That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
It's so simple. We don't have to worry about a medical diagnosis. This is not medicine. We don't have to worry about what blood type you are, or what your specific, if you will, immunity factors are, or what, if you will, what your present state of health. I don't work with medical help. I work with information, which is fundamental. That's what I like about my work. It's flawless. Energy, information cannot make a mistake. A scalar wave is fundamental. There's no mistake here. It's perfect energy. So the outcome is always perfect because there's no human reasoning. It's not chemical. When you work with light, energy does not make a mistake. Scalar light cannot make a mistake. It's fundamental. When I place a person's photograph in that instrument, scalar light, which is fundamental, is operating, acting. There's no human reasoning. My work is flawless. And once people realize, yes, there's a biological level, we all realize that this is my flesh and blood. I'm not working at that level. I'm working at the level of information. Here's an analogy for your audience. An architect starts building with plans. Nobody ever starts building without architectural plans. What's the point? You have a template, design, you have an architectural plan, the intelligence. And after you have the architectural plans, then you build the physical plan, the physical office or home. Well, that's the level that I'm at. I don't work with flesh and blood, which is the home. I work with the architectural plans, the template that adjudicates, that decides everything.
That is, I love that explanation. For me, it simplified everything as far as how it had approached. And so I hope, again, that you guys have been listening to Tom and I. And it's almost an hour already, Tom. So I just want to thank you, man, for coming to Threads of Enlightenment once again. And you're always welcome as the data progresses and you're getting more information as to how effective it is. And for those who guys have been listening to the conversation, we're going to provide Tom's information so that you can begin to get in touch with him, have your conversation with him, get that picture before him so that he can begin to put you into that field so that you can begin to get all of the things that you are desiring to get done to you. And so you have your animals. You heard about the testimony of the dog and the cat, no placebo effect, and yet it works. So if that happens with those animals, that means there is something to it. So give yourself an opportunity and give it a try. Tom, thank you so much, man, for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
It is my honor, man. I always love chatting with you. You give me some tremendous insights and things. So thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to Threads of Enlightenment with Ken Primus. Hopefully you're now feeling more empowered to overcome the challenges in your life, whatever they may be. Share that inspiration with others by telling them about this podcast, rating it, and of course, remember to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. For more connection, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching for Threads of Enlightenment. Until next time, stay enlightened.